There we go. The broadcast is live, and I'm gonna wave at you like I always do, even though I'm not on my tripod. And I'm in a green room of a comedy club. Green room, really green, because of the fact that you know, hey, everything is well. Is because of the fact that I'm gonna turn it that way, because then I can rest my arm on the couch and we can go for a very long time. So, hi everybody. There you are. I'm at Loonees. Hey, look at that. Look at that. I actually am able to hold this in such a way that A, I can rest my arm, and B, you can see the logo of the green room I'm in. I am in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and the lighting in here isn't great, but I'm in such a happy mood. I think I still look pretty okay because I'm a happy girl, and that's the best makeup. So I drove here from San Francisco. I picked up my mother in San Francisco and I drove to Provo, Utah, where I filmed something I'm not allowed to tell you about until I can tell you about it. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry. And then I drove from Provo, Utah, to here, to Colorado with my mother, and that was interesting. That's what I'm going to tell you. It was interesting, but fun. And so here I am, and I want to talk about when I was writing the material for this show, because I have not been on stage, on a real comedy stage. And even the last one was peculiar. It was March 13th, Friday the 13th. I was on a talk, on a cruise ship in Sydney, Australia. We were pulling into Sydney Harbor, and basically they told all of the passengers that had booked trips, by the way, you guys are going to have to get, GTFO, get off the boat and find your way back to wherever it is you came from. So that was the last time I performed. And after they told them, get lost, then they said, to me, but before you start packing, they're going to do a comedy show. And on top of all of that, don't be upset. We're going to have fun. Yeah, I'm at Loonees. You're at Loonees with me. And yeah, you made it. And and then it was so peculiar because like so much happened between now and then, or between then and now, so much has happened. And when the guy that owns this club contacted me to say, I'm going to have to cancel your dates, I said, why? And he said, because I can't afford to pay you what I normally pay you. It's not worth your coming. I've been just using local Denver comics. And I said, what if I was willing to do it for Denver pay? Because I want the adventure, because I want to do what I do. I want to do what I'm trained to do. I want to walk in a brick and mortar comedy club, and I want to be on stage, even if people are 6 feet apart. And I want to eat a pretzel with too much salt. And it's been strange doing what I do now after 4 months. Uh, March, April, May. No, April, May, June, July. 4.5 months. And, you don't know what to do. Like after the show, people that have been seeing me for 20 years, because this is one of my oldest clubs, they don't know if they can hug me or if they can elbow me or mask on, mask off. Can we take a picture together? It's been so peculiar and beautiful. Um, and I have to tell you, I don't want to sound like I'm crazy. I'm wearing my mask. I'm not wearing it now because I'm up alone. I'm wearing my mask. I'm being careful. I'm disinfecting. But there's been a couple of old friends that I've hugged. I mean, mask on, but I've hugged them and it felt good. And, the tables closest to the stage are blocked. You can't sit closer than like 8 feet, because God forbid I should spray and it go out and come down on somebody since I'm up on stage. But uh, the tables are social distanced. Usually I have to do 2 shows only because we can pack them in and we do one 9 o'clock show. But I'm doing a 7 o'clock show. It's an hour later here. I'm doing a 7 o'clock show and I'm doing a 9:30 show. And I will be filming them. As a matter of fact, the reason why I don't have my tripod is because we're setting up cameras downstairs so that I can film and have a performance for you. So it's really important to me. Come on in, have a seat. Um, so this is not going to be the normal, talk of our times, because I have to focus on the show, which I will share with you. Um, and the Hermosa show that I posted was pre-COVID. This will be the first post-COVID stand-up comedy in a brick and mortar club that I've created. And I have tons of new material, incredibly huge life changes. A lot of amazing things have happened for me. And I'm grateful that I have the ability to sort of flip the script on things, because I would have never started a YouTube channel. I've been more consistent with you guys than, I committed to the 3:30 gang. I committed to our live stream. I've only not done this when I was either driving or when I was, flat on my back after surgery. And there's something about a commitment to create communion. This isn't, and I mean communion, not even in a. I see you there, Walter, and I don't usually do that on the live stream, but I do like when you guys when I see the comments, because I love seeing that a lot of the 3:30 gang is migrated to YouTube. That means a lot to me. Um, at the when you look at all of it, I I might have hey I might have done this eventually. But you know what? Why lie? Maybe I wouldn't have. Maybe I would have never embraced it to the degree that I've embraced it, with genuine affection and excitement. I'm learning something completely new. And that keeps your brain flexible and malleable. When I started stand up, I didn't know anything. And it's a little bit like a bumblebee. Now, technically, they've proven that the science of saying that bumblebees are not aerodynamic and that nobody can explain how they fly, it's kind of BS. As science has advanced, bumblebees can fly. They do fly. But it's still interesting. It's still very interesting, laws of gravity and defying of gravity and doing something pretty darn close to a miracle. And my desire to learn it outpaced my fear or my insecurities or believing that I couldn't learn. And I learned to be a stand-up. I didn't know how to get booked. Sorry, the ice machine is going off downstairs. Somebody's getting a frothy drink. I didn't know how you put together an act. I didn't know how you get booked. I didn't know, but I just started open micing, and I learned, and I asked questions, and I was curious, and I was a sponge, and I met people, and I asked the headliner if they minded having a cup of coffee with me after the show, and I picked their brain. And I to this day, and I've been doing this for many years, I have not lost my childlike, not childish, my childlike curiosity for how to get better at my craft, for how to do what I do better, with more impact, with more grace, if you will. And along the way, I was thrown in the deep end of the pool of radio, and I loved radio, and I knew that that was something that I wanted to master. I to this day I can't run a soundboard, but I could get around if there was something wrong, and I knew how to pot it up, which meant you pot the sound up. I don't know why they call it that, because some, I guess now when you say pot it up, it could mean a whole different thing. But and I am in Colorado. But the point is that I maintained a healthy curiosity. And then I started podcasting because I knew that was the way the world was going. And even while I had a brick and mortar radio show on KFI started what was called Third Hour, because I did 2 hours of terrestrial radio, and then I did 1 hour of a podcast of all the things I wish I could say if I didn't have the FCC and a program director up my butt sideways. And that was fun. And then after mastering podcasting, along the way, I've written for television. I didn't know how to write a script. I didn't know that a half-hour show is really 22 minutes and 40 seconds with 2 acts. and an A story, a B story, and a runner. I didn't know that. I learned it. And I don't know YouTube. I don't know it. I don't know the algorithms. I don't know how to do YouTube. But producer Stanton knows how to do YouTube. And producer Stanton makes sure that when it's time for me to start talking, that he knows, that StreamYard's working and that I'm here with you. And I'm grateful for that. And I pick his brain, and then sometimes we don't even agree because I go with my instinct on something because I just have a feeling about it, and we find a happy medium between what he knows because he is the expert and what I feel because I am the talent and the artist, and he has a lot of artists in him too, which is why he's able to put up with me. And now I'm learning, my next big tackle will be Instagram. I'm going to tackle Instagram, and it's exciting to learn. It's not scary. I don't know if you know this, but your body releases the exact same chemicals and hormones if you are anxious or excited. It is your intellectual mind that decides if you are anxious or excited. It's the same chemical reaction in your body. It is your brain that decides how you're going to embrace something. And when I came back from Australia, I decided that I was not going to be anxious all the time. Am I not concerned that some people have lost their jobs? Am I not compassionate that the world has changed much faster than a lot of people have been able to pivot? Am I grateful that I do something that people still want in the world? They want to laugh, absolutely. But I'm also delighted that so many people that I care deeply about have developed, side hustles and hustles, next to their hustles. And that makes me really happy because the more you can be autonomous and not depend on a paycheck or somebody else's, and I'm sitting in a club that I've been coming to since October of 1994. This October will be 26 years. I've been coming to this club through 2 husbands, 1 live-in, and 4 dogs. That's a lot of time to be coming to the same place at least once a year. And I'm delighted to be here. This was the club I was in, actually, after 9/11. This was the first club I played. The owner of the club is a wonderful man named Larry Lee. And Larry Lee actually called me back when you had to call people on phones. I believe he might have paged me. And he paged me. And I think I had an old Ericsson cell phone. I still kept, I think, the pager for, but I had an Ericsson cell phone. I'm pretty sure. And Larry called and he said, "What do you want to do?" I remember, no, actually, during 9/11, I had an AT&T cell phone. I remember because I hated them. But that's beside the point. And Larry called me, Larry Lee, and he said, "So Monique, what do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I think that if we don't carry on the best that we can, that the bad guys win." So I knew I had to drive because there wasn't any flying to be done. And I said, I think that, I think that we should be dark on Wednesday. Give me a chance to figure out how I'm going to get there, safely. I drove anyway because I was a road comic, but I mean, I didn't know if the routes were going to be blocked. I mean, we didn't know anything. There was a lot of panic, a lot of information, a lot of misinformation. Not terribly different than now. But I knew that, that I could get from Bloomington, Indiana down to the 70 through Kentucky and across the 70 through St. Louis and into Colorado, into Denver, and drop down into the Springs. And that's what I did. And I was on stage in this club on September the 13th, 2001. So it's absolutely perfect that I should be here. My first show after COVID, not after, during COVID, but my first brick and mortar show is here. And tonight's Talk of Our Times is not going to be as long as the usual, A, because I don't have a tripod. And although I've got it propped up, my arm is getting tired. And B, because what I'd really like to do is focus on the show, on my performance, and then have the ability to send that footage to producer Stanton, and we'll chop it up, and you're going to get brand new, never before seen stuff, or at the very least, even if it's stuff that you've seen, it's going to definitely have a twist on it of how I've been seeing the world, so completely different during this whole pivot, during this shift, during what I like to refer to as the pause for the cause. Producer Stanton was kind enough, I think, to blast you guys the article that was written up in the Gazette. I got a beautiful write-up in the Colorado Springs Gazette. And what I very much want to impart on you tonight as I sit here is how much commitment to change. See, people love for things to stay the same. I made a commitment to change. I made a commitment to embrace. I made a commitment while I had the time to sift through everything in my life, whether it was a belonging, everything from hairpins to divorce papers. What do I really need to keep? What matters? What remains? This has almost been like an invisible fire. What like I rediscovered my YouTube album, Achtung Baby. I can't even tell you, going back and listening to Mysterious Ways, or Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses, or You're So Cruel. Going back and going through my CDs, going through my DVDs, going through paperwork, contracts. Like I say, I've got 3 sets of divorce papers, leases, old leases. What remains? What matters? What's eternal? What do you have to keep? What's taking up energy? What's taking up space? What's taking up time that isn't paying you back for the time and space? I mean, everything is real estate. Everything is real estate. If you're giving something space in your mind, does it deserve that space? In your house, does it deserve that space? In your heart, does it deserve that space? There's a big space in my heart for Colorado Springs, for Loonees. The guy that runs the club now was an employee of the owners. I was actually here October of 1994 when the original owner, Jeff Valdez, sold it to Larry and Lila Lee, who had a son named Lauren. And I actually spent a Thanksgiving meal with Larry and Lila Lee and their son Lauren. And by the way, Lila, rest in peace, made the best cranberry dressing I think I've ever eaten. And what a fantastic Thanksgiving, and what an amazing life I've lived, that I've been able to have moments, because that's what life is. It's a series of moments, and I've lived a lot of moments in this club, and I wanted to imbue you with that, because you don't have to give up hope that the things that you love will somehow go back to some semblance of something familiar. Is it the same? No. It's awkward. People are far apart and they don't know how to act. But you can hear the bar is robust. The mixers are going. The next show, the one I'm going to film for you, is already in progress. The opening act is already on stage. Let me check. Maybe he's not. He goes on stage. I've got a few more minutes. The show starts at 9:30 our time, 8:30 your time. So I've got a few more minutes before the show starts. I like to be in the showroom because I like to actually see what's going on before me and get a feel for the audience. It's like a litmus test. You watch and you see what they laugh at in the other acts, and then you can kind of figure out how to tailor your act. And this is going to be a good one. It's being filmed for you, and it's for all the marbles. And it's been a wonderful journey to remember being a road comic, to remember having to start something from scratch, to remember to be curious, to remember what really matters, to remember what should remain. what should remain. And I could continue to talk, but to talk just for the sake of talking is a waste of my time and your time. I'm actually very, very excited about performing, for in the comedy business, we always say that the fourth show of the weekend, um, that the Saturday night second show is what we call the date show. That's the prime show. That's the show where your Friday night show sometimes is an extension of happy hour. People are like, yeah, we're out, we're drinking. I mean, not now. Let's go to a comedy show. And then second show Friday, late night Friday. Usually, traditionally, that's the freaky crowd. And lo and behold, some things hold true. Last night, freaky crowd. We had one guy that was just ripped to the tits, and everything I said, he'd be like, hell yeah, or yeah, I hear what you're saying. And I know that he was just trying to be helpful and participate, but he was cray cray. A lot of first of all, to be honest with you, the second show last night, they very much felt like they'd been let out of prison after doing hard time. Like they didn't know how to act. They literally didn't know how to act as an audience. Like they were. I'm sure some of them were high. Weed is legal. It's legal in California too, but Colorado had a jump start on us. So they're high and they're drunk because they've been locked in their houses, and now they can actually drink socially and be in a comedy club, and it seems pretty normal, even though the tables are kind of far apart than usual and the waitresses are wearing masks, whatever. The first crowd was pretty civil, and it's 7 o'clock at night in Colorado. The sun is still in the sky, so they were pretty normal. So Friday first crowd held true to Friday first crowds since the beginning of my career, like an extension of happy hour. A lot of friends, a lot of big groups. Second show, a lot of freaks, a little bit of heckling, a little more comedy interaction than I was ready for, but I handled it. I've been doing this a long time. We had a good time. First show Saturday is always like the married people that are just like, let's go to a comedy show. All right, but I don't want to be out too late, or I don't want to have to pay the baby. I don't even know if you can get a babysitter during COVID, so maybe it's just people that don't have children or only have grown children. Did seem like a little bit like either everybody was very young or middle age, so maybe that's the truth. And then this crowd, as you can hear, maybe, or maybe you can't, is a large crowd. They're robust, they're excited. So it feels very much like a comedy show, a real, honest to goodness comedy show. So I'm very, very grateful that you guys showed up for me. I wasn't going to not show up for you. Last week was different. I had no choice. I was driving across country with my mom to get to the secret project that you will all be able to see and say, that's our girl. That's what she was doing. And actually, I'm glad that we got to have sort of a reset and you got to see the first talk of our times, which was like, at this point, 18 weeks ago, like March. Are you kidding me? Yeah, March 25th. March March 17th, 18th. It was the first Saturday after St. Patrick's Day. The third Saturday in March was my first talk of the times, and then I started doing the 3:30 on Wednesday, March 25th. I can't believe where the time has gone, but I've made good use of it, very good use, and I know that many of you have too. And I'm grateful for your stories. I'm grateful that you share with me. I'm grateful that you send me pictures. My friend Rick Priest got a puppy. He got a Labrador, a black lab. And I'm grateful that to see all of the online graduations and the drive-by birthday parties and the side hustles that are taking off. My friend Sandy Jones is doing really well. Um, and I wish that I could mention all of you by name, but I'm grateful that it's getting too unwieldy to do that. But I'm so glad. By the way, I officially want to say that I'm going to try and figure out how to sync up, and producer Stanton might be able to help me. Before I do it, I have to get his permission. But we had a dance party last Thursday night on my 3:30 We had a dance party Thursday evening, and it was really kind of kicked off because my friend Hector Baez told me that he really didn't know how to dance. Well, he fibbed. He sent me a private video. In fact, I have two of Hector dancing, and it's pretty amazing. So, producer Stanton, I think that we need to figure out how to do side by side videos of me dancing and a little bit like Swayze Farley, except Hector Baez is going to be Swayze and I'm going to be Farley because he's pretty good dancer. So we're going to figure out a way to share the party. And when I get home from this road trip, I think I'm going to make our Friday disco dance night a thing. It was so much fun. So there's going to be a lot more content. You can hear it's getting louder down in the bar. People are stoked. The show's going to be starting very shortly. And so glad you were able to hang out in the Loonees green room with me. And even though I'm going to be saying it again in about an hour and a half, I'm going to say it to you wonderful people right now. Love hard, forgive harder, and get as happy as you can as fast as you can. Thanks for joining me in the green room of Loonees. We'll be posting new comedy very soon. All right, guys, have a great one. Next Saturday, I should be back in California. So there you have it. If not at home, at my mother's, and I can do a full show, I already have from my mother's house. All right. Thank you, producer Stanton. Thank you for making this happen. Talk to you guys soon.